That was such a nice video. There's only two people in the world that actually think that highly of me, and it's my 92-year-old mother and my 8-year-old granddaughter. And my 8-year-old granddaughter's on the fence a lot of the time. It's unbelievable to be here. When Chuck Harris called me and said, I got this award, I said, are you sure? Have the rural communities come in yet? But as I stand here, I remember UT's motto, what starts here changes the world. It's not my place to decide if that's true. But one thing's for sure, what started here changed my world. I met my mentors here. I developed my sense of humor here. And yes, that's supposed to be a point in UT's favor. In over 50 years, it's where I met the love of my life. And here's the crazy thing. Before we met, coincidentally, Janie and I applied to the same two colleges, Georgetown and Texas. Janie got into both. Georgetown rejected me immediately. They broke the world's record for the fastest letter ever sent. But I was accepted to UT on probation. I had to haul down to Austin that summer. It was 100 degrees almost every single day. I had to take 4 classes, 2 A's and 2 B's, and then and only then could I call myself a real live Longhorn. Now, decades later, as I'm taking this honor, I'm thinking, does this mean I'm finally off probation? But really, the Distinguished Alumnus Award is the greatest honor I could ever or have ever received. I can say that because I lost my Emmy nomination. Damn! But also, so many of the late, great mentors received this honor before me. There's Austin City Council member Lowell Lieberman. He liked to say, I never stopped working for him because I never stopped taking his calls. I did stop getting paid, though. Then there's Shirley Bird Perry, who dedicated more than a half a century of tireless work to make UT what it is. And she was the director of the union where Janie and I met. And by the way, Nancy Brazel is the Shirley Bird Perry of today, although some say Shirley Bird Perry was an Ansel Brazel of her day. Then there's my late, great mother-in-law, Annette Strauss. She fought for me to join UT's development board, and she introduced me to the importance of the Kennedy Center board. Maybe the greatest lesson I've learned from these mentors is the importance of raising your hand. From the moment I stepped on this campus, to the moment I stepped at this microphone, my life has been better when I've raised my hand and gotten involved. I met Janie Strauss because I raised my hand to be on UT's union board. The appointment lasted a few years, but I got a partner for life. I raised my hand to be president of my fraternity, abbot of the Friar Society, and vice president of the student body, all leading to amazing experiences and deep and abiding friendships. Years later, when the Kennedy Center had the wild idea to create the highest honor for humor, I raised my hand to make that happen. And as a co-creator, I've been raising my hand to support the Mark Twain Prize for the last 25 years. And it's been an honor of a lifetime because I've seen how humor can change people's lives. The Friars Club once asked me to chair a roast of Quentin Tarantino to benefit the Wounded Warriors Project. They help out veterans who have gotten involved, injured, or sick. And during a break in the program, I approached one of the tables of Wounded Warriors. One was in a wheelchair, had lost an arm. I thanked him for his service. He looked up at me and smiled and said something I will never forget. He said, when I laugh, I don't hurt. It's just true. And the pain isn't always physical. If you've lost someone, you know the deeper the grief, the more grateful you are to that first person who can make you laugh. The Mark Twain Prize gives us a chance to pause once a year and honor one of those people. At our darkest moments, comedians raise their hands to bring us back to the light. To me, even playing a small role in that tradition is a life well spent. Now I'd like to thank some of the people and folks who have raised their hands to help me out over the years. First of all, thank you to all the family and friends who came here far and wide to be here tonight. Having these people I care so deeply about in the same place at the same time, it means more to me than I can say. And thank you to the people who got me here. I would not be standing here without the first woman dean of the Texas Center and another UT Distinguished Alumna, Senator Judith Zaffirini. She's been a champion for her constituents, and she's also been a champion for me. To Tom Daschle, thank you for your decades of friendship, for your public service, for stealing my best story tonight. Really topical reference to Ross Perot. To quote a different president, well, Tom, there you go again. To Ken Burns, thank you for your friendship, for capturing America's spirit in your work, and for letting me remind everyone that the history of country music was my idea, in case anybody forgot. To Lyle Lovett, thank you for being in my video. I think there's a song that captures what I want to say to you. You're not from Texas, but Texas wants you anyway. Hook 'em! Thank you to Jeannie and Mickey Klein, as well as Sandy Gottesman, for your deeply generous support of the university and to me. And thank you to Chuck Harris and Patricia Shampton for ensuring only the most worthy, tall, and handsome people receive this award. I forgot to include brilliant. And thank you for everything you do to run the best alumni network in the world, much better than Georgetown, I'm sure. I mentioned Annette Strauss, but I also have to mention Bob Strauss and Ted Strauss. The Strauss family has opened up so many doors in my life, which brings me to my greatest joy, my family. My mother has always made me believe my dreams were worth pursuing, so you have her to blame. Since they were born, my daughters, Elizabeth and Catherine, have excelled beyond my wildest expectations. In fact, the only person who got more emotional about this award than I did is Elizabeth. She started wearing a burnt orange ribbon in her hair every day at school from 8 years old on. She applied to only one college, didn't even bother with Georgetown. I guess she learned that from her father. Catherine wouldn't know about that. She went to school, some random schools no one's ever heard of. Stanford, Columbia, PhD at Princeton. I'm sure they're okay. But I couldn't be prouder of both of them. I'm also delighted to have the privilege of sharing this moment with my grandkids, Hud and Annette Capp. And yes, I do point out I get honorable mention every time I say Annette Capp's name. And if I could only raise one piece of wisdom to them, it would be raise your hand and not to just go to the bathroom, which is what I suspect they've been thinking about this whole speech. We're alike in that way. Finally, I'd like to close by talking about the greatest gift UT ever gave me. I can't tell you where I would be or who I'd be without Janie. We first started dating, and there was a screening on campus of Casablanca, my favorite movie. When we showed up, it was sold out. Why didn't I reserve tickets earlier? Well, to quote Humphrey Bogart in that film, I never make plans that far ahead. Months went by, and for Valentine's Day, Janie invited me to her apartment for a homemade souffle. She had spent the last summer at cooking school in the south of France. And this intrigued me as someone whose specialty dish is chips and guac. She said, "Don't be late. Souffle only rises once." Naturally, I was late. When I opened the door to her place, there was no souffle. Instead, there was a movie projector. Drop-down screen, hot dog, cherry sours, popcorn, and the film reel for Casablanca. Now you understand we've been married for 46 years, and she's put up with me for something like 27 of those years. She's my best friend, my closest confidant, the one who saves me from myself when I have a ridiculous idea, and the one who stands beside me when I go through it anyway. UT gave me an extraordinary education, unforgettable experiences, and lifelong friendships. But if I had to only give me the opportunity to meet Janie, that alone would be priceless. That's why I can say from the bottom of my heart, what started here certainly changed my world. Thank you so much. Hook 'em.